In our bustling society, made great by the sweat of our forefathers, the interview or talk show plays a vital part. As Mr. and Mrs. America hustle through their workaday lives, they need information, entertainment, and top-flight novelty acts featuring chimpanzees on roller skates or that guy who spins plates on sticks. However, as with most of life's endeavors, the talk show is fraught with peril, riddled with pitfalls for the unwary host. Do you want to be a Benny Bad host who berates his guests, alienates his audience, and lowers ratings? Or a Gus Good host who fills the airwaves with snappy banter, wins the hearts of viewers everywhere, and takes home 2 large a week? The choice is yours, Mr. Prospective Talk Show host. This film will help you be the man behind the desk.
It's Camp Midnite with your host, Dick Wilson. Tonight, join Dick and his guests, singer-actress Cynthia Rhodes, comedians Forkish and Ward, Dr. Timothy Leary, writer-director Cameron Crowe, how to sell a screenplay author Carl Sauter, and singer Cindy Lee Berryhill. And as always, Scooter Peach in the van. And now your host, Dick Wilson.
Well, thank you, folks. Welcome to USA's Camp Midnite. Boy, what a night we've got. We've got some great guests lined up here, as you just heard in our opening. A lot of fun-loving people. We'll find out a lot of strange new things about them. Speaking of strange new things, let's say hello again to Scooter Peach and the band. Scooter?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Quick question, Scooter. Isn't it... This is April 14th. Income tax day is tomorrow, Saturday, right? So we've got Monday, I think, to get things in. Is this true? I haven't started my income tax yet, Scooter. So I thought I'd bring it tonight and we just look at a few things, if you don't mind. I've got my file here. I don't keep receipts through the year for things. What I do is I keep actual pieces of the lunches that I've had through the year. Now, this was from the USA Network early in the year, this piece of lettuce. That was from that thing. I've got a piece of... let's see here in March 6th. Here's a Dick Clark piece of pizza that Dick Clark ate in our talks about doing this show, so we got that too. Here's a cup that I used at the movies when I took my family to see the movies. I went ahead and deducted it because we saw Working Girl. I figured that was business enough. And the only problem is last year I did this and I got audited because my dog accidentally ate the entire third quarter. A little too heady for you? Well, here, wait a minute. Just how about this then, huh? All right. Okay, good. Oh! What the heck are we doing? Oh, wasn't that great? Wasn't that an interesting find we found? That old 1957 training film called Our Friend the Talk Show. I mean, we was down in the basement all dusty and things, you know. I think it's going to come in real handy because right now, this point of the show, I always have to order up the food. And ordering the food for our audience has become kind of a throwaway. We just kind of do it, you know. And I'm thinking that maybe this old training film, I think it has some tips for us. Could we look at that? Let's see about ordering food if our training film shows us.
A first-rate talk show provides snacks for its hungry audience members. This keeps them happy and attentive. There's a jolly viewer now, tying on the feed bag. But where does the food come from? Benny Bad Host selects his eatery indiscriminately, without rhyme or reason. The results can be unfortunate, as well as unappetizing. But Gus Goodhost takes care in choosing a meal for his audience. He closely examines menus from several grub-providing establishments, choosing chow that's nutritious, photogenic, and tasty to boot. Just look at those clams. Today, Gus Goodhost is calling Coyote, an Italian-style eatery, well known for its individual pizzas and California cuisine. What's it going to be, Mr. Talk Show host? Happy, well-fed audience members, or a cranky crowd with gas?
Well, I'll tell you what. Jeez. Scooter, I sure don't want to be a Benny Bad host. You know, that's the last thing we need around here for our ratings is an ornery mob full of wind. So I think what we'll do, we're going to dial up like Gus Good host. We're going to dial up Coyotes here and order up some great California cuisine. How's that for everybody, okay? All right, let's take care of that. I think we're going to have some barbecue chicken pizza. It's incredible. They've got some roast garlic pizzas and wild mountain salads.
Hello, Coyote. May I help you?
Hi, yeah, this is Dick Wilson over at Camp Midnite. We'd like to place a pretty big order.
Okay. Do you know what you'd like?
Well, yeah, we'd like, why don't you send us over about 10 to 20 of those barbecue chicken pizzas, about 15 of the pizza carnitas, some chopped salads for about 75 people, and some pasta pesto. These people are hungry over here, okay?
Okay, where do we take it?
Bring it to the Camp Midnite Studios right here in lovely Van Nuys.
Okay, we'll be there soon.
We'll leave the front door open for you. Thanks.
All right.
There you go. Okay. The food is on its way, and so is Cynthia Rhodes from Animotion on Camp Midnite. We're in trouble now. Scooter's able to move. We had him kept pinned up there. Well, it's time now, folks, for things that sound dirty but really aren't. Now, these are the little things you send in, the things that actually sound dirty but really aren't. Before we get started, though, I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who have sent these dirties in to us because it's been a phenomenal response. However, there is one dirty word that has received more mail than any of the others combined. And our segment producers are just sick of seeing it come through the mail, and we'd like to mention that to you tonight and just take care of it, get it out of our system so we don't have to see it again. And so we'd like to thank the following people for sending it in. Doug Polson of Binghamton, New York, Dave Lacados of Roanoke Park, California, Karen Fetter of Los Angeles, Pam Mott of LaPorte, Texas, Scott McKay, Van Nuys, California, Kevin Gibbons, Toronto, Ontario, Craig Swenson, Dallas, Texas, Greg Lavin of La Habra, California, and inmate P9388, Darren Irwin of the Bellefonte Prison in Pennsylvania. And my best to all you guys up there in cell block P for sending in the word kumquat. Come? Kumquat. There you go. Okay. Understand that? Here, have a couple of these, folks. Just eat up. Okay? Our next two things that sound dirty but really aren't come from our nation's press. These are actually headlines that sound dirty but really aren't. First off, we have received one from the LA Times. Now, I didn't get to read the whole story here, but I can only assume from the headline there must have been a big rally outside of Salt Lake City somewhere, and I guess it must have been really a pretty hot time, as our headline reads, Dike collapses in Utah, 1,500 forced to flee. One heck of a party there on that one. And this next headline comes from Mike Salerno out of Topeka, Kansas, which is kind of the regional neighbor of mine out in the Midwest. Mike seems to be a pretty big basketball fan, and his favorite team recently hit the headlines of the Topeka Capital Journal sports page. It's a come-from-behind victory as Seaman girls rally, slip past Trojans 60 to 59. There you go. Well, I want to remind you, as usual, folks, if you have things that sound dirty but really aren't around your house, send them to us here at Camp Midnite. Let me show you that address, if you don't mind. It's Camp Midnite, Post Office Box 189, Hollywood, California, 978. Fax number 818-843-FAXS. And remember, folks, if we use yours on the air, except for those of you who send kumquat in again, you'll get an 8x10 picture of Peter O'Toole will be sent out to you. All right? Well, let's get underway now. Our first guest tonight is perhaps best known for her sizzling screen career with lead roles opposite Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing and also John Travolta in Staying Alive. She's now the sizzling lead singer of the rock band Animotion. A warm Camp Midnite welcome for actress, dancer, and singer Cynthia Rhodes. Hey! Good to see you. There you go. a shot? Can we get a shot of those shoes? Those are remarkable. Look at those things. Dancer's shoes. Cynthia, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, good. Thanks for coming on Camp Midnite.
Well, thanks for having me.
Animotion. How's things going with the group now these days?
Pretty good, yeah.
Let's show this. Let's just show this right now because you're wearing your hair a little bit differently than when this album was
I cut it all off, yeah.
There you are, right there in the middle, huh?
Yeah. Well, I wish I was one of these guys. They look pretty good.
Isn't it
they had
horrible?
better hair than I did, so I cut my hair off.
So what's working with the group? What's going on at the moment?
Well, we have a single out right now called Room to Move, and
yeah.
Oh, great, thanks. And our second single is going to be Calling It Love, and we're just going to keep our fingers crossed.
Well, good. Are you touring or anything?
We're going to start touring hopefully in the summer. We're going to try to get a band together and start rehearsing next week. And get on the road.
We'll look forward to that. Good.
Oh, I'm excited about it.
Well, let's talk a little history here now for a minute.
Okay.
Unbelievable in Dirty Dancing, the dances that you did with Patrick Swayze. How long did it take you all to get worked up and able to do that as far as rehearsal?
Well, we started rehearsals about 2 weeks before we started the film. And we rehearsed every day for about 10 hours a day to make it look like that Patrick and I had been dancing together all of our lives.
Yeah.
So it was really hard rehearsals. That's why I keep saying I'm never going to dance again. I'm tired of dancing.
Oh, no, come on. You gotta keep
only
dancing.
with the band now.
All right, because see, there's one thing that I tried to do this after seeing Dirty Dancing. I cannot get my leg up on the shoulder of my dance partner like you did in Dirty Dancing. Oh,
well,
ouch, that hurts.
No, it feels good.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, things that sound dirty and are. That's what that is.
Dirty Dancing was not dirty, though.
Yeah. And what? Staying Alive. You worked with John Travolta in that.
John Travolta.
And
great dancer, too.
Yeah.
I've been really fortunate. Yeah, and Sylvester Stallone. I don't know how good of a dancer he is, though. Yeah.
Well, he's so steeped in musical backgrounds. It's,
He's got such a great voice. I don't know.
So what's your dancing background? How'd you get started in this whole entertainment thing?
Well, I started dancing when I was 3, and then I started working professionally at a theme park in Nashville called Opryland, USA for 5 years. And then I moved out to Los Angeles here and just got on my knees and prayed a lot and wished something would come up. And I was really fortunate because Flashdance and Staying Alive came at the same time. So I was running to one of the studios, you know, being a punk rocker and flipping off of the walls, and then running back over to Staying Alive set and, you know, doing plies and warming up and things like that. So
your agent he got a great bonus that time, didn't he? 2 movies at the same time you're going on?
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Well, it is April 14th, as we noticed in the start here. Now,
tomorrow,
you're all set on your taxes and things?
Are you kidding? I always get an extension every year. I hate
Well, the problem that you have is that you have to file jointly probably with your husband, don't you? And your husband is?
Richard Marx.
Singer Richard Marx. Yep. What's it like living together with also a music person and working together? Do you share critiques or what?
Yeah, it's really great, but it was funny because when we did the album Room to Move, Richard produced 2 of the songs, and it's a lot different when you're working with your husband or your boyfriend or whatever in front of you, because, you know, if he would say you're a little sharp or you're a little flat, what do you mean a little? Why don't you come out here? You think you can do it better than I can? You know, you get really angry, but because I look up to him and I think he's an incredible singer. I think he's one of the best there ever has been, and I wanted to do as best as he is. And when you go out there, and I know I'm not as good of a singer as he is, you know, you get frustrated. Yeah. But you leave it in the studio, and then when you go home, everything's fine.
Well, I hope so. Do you guys go out dancing at all?
Never, ever. We've been together for 4 years, never.
This dancing thing, you're sick of it, aren't you?
I really am, yeah. I'm telling you what, my bones are hurting. My back hurts all the time, my muscles, I'm like...
Yeah. How young did you start your dance instructions?
3.
Because I've got a daughter that's 5 and one that's 10, and they're starting a little ballet, and the other daughter's...
That's great, though.
Some little ballet. And then my older daughter's doing jazz, which actually is just ballet where you snap your fingers.
Right, right. You can tort your body a little bit. Yeah, but I was training for the Olympics, so I completely did my body in. I mean, I was there for 8 hours a day, and I wrapped myself around uneven.
In the Olympics? Did you compete?
I never did. I started working professionally when I was 16.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great career so far. We're looking forward to seeing Animotion hit the streets here later this year.
Thanks.
And you know, and I'll tell you folks at home also, those of you who just joined us for the first time, we do have a little thing here where we ask you to bite and sign a cup. Well, it's a styrofoam cup. Now,
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Nobody talked to her about this before?
No.
Cynthia? Okay, all right.
I'm
I'll tell
sorry.
you what. We're in luck because we have found this old 1957 training film called Our Friend the Talk Show. And I think it has something about that. Can we see that? Let's watch it.
Oh, great.
Okay?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any talk show worth its salt has glittering guest stars from the Hollywood firmament. When the entertaining question and answer periods, or interviews, with these noteworthy denizens of the movie capital are concluded, Benny Badhost has nothing to remember them by, other than a fishy handshake and a whiff of cheap perfume. Not unlike the last trashy dame who took my money and broke my heart, dragging my good name through the gutter with her selfish whining and unbearable What? Oh, sorry. But Gus Goodhost has a cherished memento, because he remembers to have his guest bite and sign a cup. As with other facets of the talk show, there is a right way and a wrong way to bite and sign a cup. Guess which way Benny Badhost chooses? That's right, he neglects to let go of the cup when Miss Movie Star bites it. Youch! How about some mercurochrome on that, Benny? But what's the proper way to bite and sign a cup? After eliciting one last amusing anecdote, which gives your home viewers a precious glimpse into the lives of celebrities at play, thank your guest courteously. Then, hand her a handsome cup and a writing implement, a neatly sharpened pencil or a pen with plenty of ink, and request that she legibly inscribe it. Then, leave a demure dental imprint for identification purposes in the unhappy event that she is decapitated or burned beyond recognition in a hideous, fiery wreck. And now, bring on the trained poodle act.
I think you can understand now, so please do the honors for us. There you go. Cynthia Rhodes, folks, on Camp Midnite. Yeah. Coming up, comedy and Forkish Award. Welcome back to Camp Midnite, folks, here on the USA Network. Joining us now is an impressionist duo who appears throughout the Los Angeles area. You've seen them at the L.A. Cabaret, also Igby's, and they were finalists in L.A.'s Take a Stand competition, the stand-up competition they had a while back. Please welcome Tony Forkish and Jim Ward, Forkish and Ward.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see you all here. I have a little bit of bad news. First of all, due to legal problems, we're not going to be able to do our normal act here tonight.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, yeah. I'm Jim Ward, by the way.
I'm Tony Forkish.
And we're, like you said.
So what do you want to do?
I don't know. I want to see what's on the boob tube.
Sure, let's see what's on TV.
Yeah, let's watch some TV.
Why not? Bong.
First, there was Apollo Creed.
Bong.
Then, Apollo Creed again.
Bong.
After that, Clubber Lang.
Bong.
Then, the big Russian guy.
Bong.
Now. Bum, bum.
In this corner, weighing 225 pounds minus ammunition, from the city of brotherly love, the Italian stallion Rocky Balboa.
Nicky, I don't know if I can beat this guy, you know what I mean? I don't know his own strength, but I'll die trying, you know what I mean?
And in this corner, weighing in at 97 pounds, snout span 32 inches, antler span 37 inches, from Frostbite Falls, Minnesota, Bullwinkle the Moose.
Hello there. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
That trick never works.
Not up a sleeve. Presto!
Yeah. Time for me to get a new suit.
Watch them battle it out for 15 fast and furious rounds. Rocky and Bullwinkle, the movie, or
Eye of the Moose.
Yo, Moose. I'm gonna mess you up.
Go for it.
Good evening. I'm I'm Robin Leach. Log cabin dreams and campfire fantasies can be yours on this week's edition of Summer Camps of the Rich and Famous. Our first stop, the legendary Cabin 12, where bunkhouse captain Bill Shatner plans the night's activities.
Log cabin, captain's log. Camp date 4/1989. While planning a panty raid on the girls' camp across the lake, bunkmate Woody Allen brings up a salient point.
I'm nauseous. I tell you, I can't even think I can go on a panty raid. There's food in the mess hall is terrible. It's pancakes. You want to throw them in the garbage in such small portions.
But Max, you've got to go. You should see the girls across the lake, Max. Twins, 16-year-olds. Can you imagine the mathematical possibilities?
Before sending his charges across the lake, Camp Counselor Sean Connery has a few words of advice.
So you want the girls across the lake, do you? Here's how you get them. They short sheet one of yours, you give one of theirs a wedgie. They push one of yours in the lake, you push one of theirs in the latrine. That's the Camp Gitchy Goomy Noonie Wawa way.
No more pancakes, please.
And speaking of pancakes, the mess hall has other shortcomings, as Jack Nicholson tells to Mike Tyson, world heavyweight champion and camp hash slinger.
Yeah. What do you mean you don't have any s'mores? Surely you must have some sort of pie with a graham cracker crust. Well, bring me the lemon chiffon pie, hold the pie. Just bring me the crust, and I want a Hershey bar and a marshmallow, and I want you to squeeze them all together.
How am I supposed to do that with my boxing gloves on?
Tell you what, Mike, why don't you just have Robin squeeze it between her thighs? That is, if magic isn't down there already. Talk about driving the lane.
Hey, you know, Jack, you're a real funny guy. Hey, listen, Jack, have you ever had your nose bone driven through the back of your brain?
Sounds pretty good. How much is that per gram?
And as we bid farewell to another week's summer camp, Bob Dylan and Star Search vocal competition winner Sam Harris serenade us around the campfire.
There was an actor, was the best, and Brando was his name. Oh, B-R-A-N-D-O.
B-R-A-N-D-O, B-R-A-N-D-O, and Brando was his name.
Be sure to tune in next week when you'll hear Clint Eastwood say,
Go ahead, make my bunk.
On Summer Camps of the Rich and Famous.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're Forkus and Ward. Good night.
Of course, the person on your left, hopefully you will recognize as a regular on Camp Midnite, Tony Forkus. Tony! Which means that this must be Caroline Schlitt.
Yes,
all right,
right. Amazing makeup.
Jim Ward, folks, Jim Ward. Hey, guys, I can't. All right, I've got a minute and a half left, all right? A minute and a half left. You do so many characters up there. I know you've got some more. Let's just see. You want to see? Let's just see how many they can do in a minute and a half, all right? All right, ready? Ready, go.
Well, I've always been partial to James Mason, especially as Captain Nemo. Would anyone care for some squid pancakes?
Hi.
But, Captain, what's Mr. Chekhov's grudge with the Klingons? You know, Sulu from Star Trek, right? I always wanted to see him, like, in a serious role, like in Chinatown, you know? So your wife got excited and crossed her legs too fast, know what I mean?
Damn it, Jake. I'm a doctor, not a detective. How about the Batman?
Sure, we'll do Batman.
Holy puberty, Batman! Catwoman sure is pretty when she's asleep.
Yes. Yes, old chum. This may be the first thrust of manhood.
Riddle me this, Batman. Why is a tiger like a tree?
Good evening. I'm Jack Koppel, and this is the church. This is the steeple, and in a moment we'll open the doors and see all the people. Our first guest tonight, Chairman of the Iran-Contra hearing, Senator Daniel Inouye.
Thank you, Mr. Koppel. Good evening. I'd give my right arm for a jelly donut right now. Well, Colonel North, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, Counsel. I did retrieve documents from Fawn Hall's panties while she was wearing them. And yes, I enjoyed it, Counsel Lyman.
All right, good job. All right, yeah. How about it? Let's sign a cut. Let's fight it. Forkish and Ward on Camp Midnite. Back with Timothy Leary in just a moment. Camp Midnite on the USA Network. Glad to have you with us tonight, as you are hopefully every Friday night. Well, here's a man now who could have written the book on nonconformity, but he was too busy surviving the effects of living it. Please say hello to Dr. Timothy Leary. Yeah, there you go. There's a microphone right there for you. How you doing? Good to have you on the show.
Friday night TV, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know. How you okay on your taxes? You get everything done okay?
That's a rowdy crowd.
It is, yeah. I'm not sure where they're trucking these people in from, you know. I don't know where they get them from. You know, you had, how old are you now? You don't mind telling?
68.
68 years old. Okay. Well, I want to do something here, just to background people real quick. A little capsule look at the Timothy Leary life, okay?
No, I don't have to be funny, do I?
Don't be funny. Matter of fact, we'd rather you not be, okay? No. Let me just give you a decade, and you tell me what you were doing in the decade, all right? 1950s. 1950.
1950, I was a button-down, 3 martini a night drinking professor. And with 2.5 children and 1.5 cars in the garage.
All right. Okay, 1960s.
I forget. Yeah. Robin Williams said, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. So.
Okay, 1970s.
Well, I was, the 70s decade was the decade of the political prisoner. Think about it. And in January 1970, I was put in prison by Mr. Nixon and his group, Gord Liddy, and I watched in the next 6 years almost every one of those guys bunking down the cell block. So I was, I had a wonderful decade in the 70s. Most of it was spent at the expense of the United States government in deep meditation, things like that.
All right, the 1980s then.
The 1980s, I've been very involved in communication, computer software, multilingual, multimedia, interactive courseware. Do you want more? I can go on. I'm very much involved in computers and software.
Oh, computer thing. Yeah. All right. Well, good. Well, that's. I won't have that kind of story when I, turn the lights out at the end. So you've led a great life. Now, let me ask you one thing here. Now, 30 years ago or so, you took, kind of the first trip down to Mexico to sample some of the growth down there. 30 years later now, how has it been a disadvantage and how has it been an advantage for living through all that, would you say?
How has what been an advantage?
Well, after experimenting the LSD and the trip and the mushrooms and things, the advantages and disadvantages as you look back on that life now.
Well, I think it's very hard to answer a question like that because what's my base, or how can I compare? I'm a psychologist, I'm a philosopher, I'm fascinated with information, I'm fascinated with the mind and the use of psychedelic drugs. I'm not talking about the Reagan administration, Ollie North, Bush Quayle drugs like cocaine and steroids and so forth. I'm talking about the psychedelic drugs. They are mind-opening drugs, and I use them with hundreds of other people and professors and teachers to expand the mind and learn more about it.
Well, what are you doing these days now to continue expanding the mind and, you know, looking in? Well, what different directions are you taking now?
Now,
I don't mean expanding the mind.
You got a cup there, huh?
Yeah?
No comment.
Oh, so you're not going to... Okay. No specimens in, guys. No specimens.
All right. Get your deal?
You know, I read something, speaking of wanting to keep your mind around, I read something that you are going to... What are you going to do upon death? What's happening to your body?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because my plan is I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
I think death is a serious career move. I know, and I think it could be the worst mistake you ever make. We call death irreversible, involuntary metabolic coma. I'm going to choose when I hibernate. That's a nice word, hibernate.
It's a soft word, yeah.
I have several options. One option is I'm going to have my head frozen. And they say that in 20 or 30, 40 years they'll be able to thaw it back out. And
now, why just the head?
Because they'll implant me in a person that doesn't have much of a brain.
Yeah, our crew's available, I believe, for that. Yeah, we can match a body up here. Just yeah.
No. Think about it. They have hearts, and if someone needs a heart, they give them a heart. They have kidneys. Someone needs a kidney. Like, well, a lot of people that need a brain. You know, I've got a. My brain, I admit, has been kind of battered around, but still, I know how to use it. So yeah. Anyway, no, seriously, I'm going to have my
what kind of cost is that? What kind of? We're talking pretty big cost to do that, isn't it?
There's a company, or not company, it's a non-profit foundation called Alcor. It's in Riverside, California. Dedicated scientists, and it costs $35,000 for about 35 years of being frozen. Now think of just the electricity bill itself. This is a bargain. Also, you take insurance, so that for a young person today, like my 15-year-old son is going to do it, it costs about $30, $40 a year right now for his insurance.
Well, let's talk about young people for a minute, because I know you're the 1990s. What's happening in that decade? Your feeling on that?
Well, I want to take you on a little exercise in simple mathematics. It was 20 years ago this summer that Woodstock happened. Now, Woodstock, there were 400,000 college kids, wall-to-wall mud, and God knows what was going on. And that one act of recorded violence and the playing Beatles songs and all that. Now, in due course of time, these young people then got married and they had children. And just now, 1989, 1990, the children of the 60s children are now hitting college. In other words, Dr. Spock's grandchildren. And I want to tell you, they're very different. If your mother and father had been to Woodstock, and if they had tried to stop the war in Vietnam, and they'd maybe smoked a little weed, under medical supervision, of course, you know, if they listened to Dylan and all that, I don't think they're going to become Dan Quayle business administration majors, if you know what I'm saying. These kids are going to be different.
We call them flower grandchildren. We've termed it around here.
I'll buy that.
Now, you're a godfather to some kids that you are watching closely in this.
Yes, I have 3 or 4 people that I knew very well as youngsters growing up, and they call me their godfather. Now, I'm not talking mafia here, I hope. One of them is a young woman named Winona Ryder, who has a movie coming out just this week called Heather. She also made Great Balls of Fire with Jerry Lee Lewis, and she's really a wonderful. The thing about Winona and these, Uma Thurman is another goddaughter of mine. She was in Dangerous Liaisons. Remember her? And, these young people are different from the kind of empty-headed brat packers. No, you know, I'm not trying to.
Well, yeah. Sure.
You know, they're very thoughtful, and they've learned from their parents, and they're not going to make the same mistakes. And you ask Winona Ryder a question, she's not going to give you a kind of a Las Vegas showgirl answer about her next performance and that sort of thing. They won't let you play that game. You remember when the Beatles first came on the scene and John Lennon wouldn't play the interview game? You know? They can up-level the whole thing. Well, these kids are learning how to do that, and I'm proud. I'm going to tell you that starting in 1990, you're going to see these younger people maybe they won't even go to college. A lot of them are going to be running studios by the time they're 22.
Well, sure. Well, Doctor, hang on a minute. We're going to hang on to you here because we're just going to hang on. Don't go anywhere.
Hang on.
We're going to come back. I want to find out. You made a record with John Lennon, and also you had a pretty famous guy who lived next door in prison. We want to talk about him also. We'll be back in a minute on Camp Midnight. On the USA Network, our guest, Dr. Timothy Leary, with us, continuing Folsom Prison. You stayed there for just a little bit. You had a guy that was a couple cells down the way. Who was that?
Well, it took me a long while, maybe 2 days, to figure out who this was in the next cell, actually, who kept quoting the Bible to me all the time, Revelations.
Yeah.
And he was obviously the smartest guy that had ever appeared in the earth to his estimation. He was telling me about Revelations, it's all going to come down, and it's the fault of the women. He didn't like women either. And finally I said to the trustee, he was sending me over coffee, you know, and like that. I said to the trustee, who's that incredibly intelligent, you know, nitwit, brain damage guy next door? And he said, that's Charlie Manson.
Ah, okay, yeah.
But that's the extent of my Manson stories. I don't...
Did he ever...
Did you have a Manson story?
No, I just wanted to ask you, did he ever finish one coherent sentence while you were there at all?
He finished a million. See?
Oh, maybe he did. Let's talk
We're
John
talking
Lennon.
motor mouth.
Yeah.
He's not good at listening, though.
He can't focus. That's the problem.
Is that it? I don't know.
I think that's the problem.
All right, bye.
What about up in Canada? John Lennon, up in a bedroom up there someplace, Give Peace a Chance, the song.
A bedroom is giving them a wrong idea.
Where was this recorded?
It was a hotel suite, yeah.
How'd you get that?
Well, see, I had been under a marijuana rap, and the Supreme Court freed me so I could leave the country. And John Lennon couldn't come in the country because of a marijuana rap, so he phoned, and I went across the border, and I met him with my wife and his wife in a Montreal hotel. And they said they wanted us to make a song, and Yoko's kind of got a low voice, and she said, I thought it was a song about vegetarianism because she said, let's give peas a chance. What's wrong with beans, you know? Anyway, so 5 of us, there was Tommy Smothers and Yoko and John, and we sang that song, and it was,
that's great. Well, you had a lot of effect on, of course, musicians in a lot of different ways. The Moody Blues did the song Timothy Leary's Dead. Do you have like a cassette of that in your car you listen to? And then somebody else.
You got to give him the next line. No. He's on the outside looking in, and that's
right.
true. I like to be on the outside. And,
somebody did a song called Timothy Leary's Alive too. I didn't catch what group it was.
That's the Dead Kennedys in San Francisco.
Was it? Yeah. So.
And
you've been the topic of a lot of different musicals.
I also wrote the original version of Come Together. That was I was running for governor against Ronald Reagan. You remember him?
Oh, yeah,
California.
Yeah.
And they said, what's the theme song for your campaign? And my wife came up with a wonderful one. She said, come together, join the party, if you see what she means. And it was all 60s kind of fooling around. And John wrote that song. I was in prison when the song actually came out because they wouldn't let me run for governor, which was a good move.
Well, you got your prison sentence out of the way first before going into politics.
Well,
the rest of them do it at the other side. Yeah.
Hey, so I wrote a letter to John. He said, hey, John, what happened? I gave you that song, and you used it like that. So he wrote back. He's so funny. He said, well, Timothy, you know, I'm like a tailor. You came in, you ordered that suit, and you didn't come back for it, so I sold it to MGM.
Timothy, we can't help you, can't thank you enough for being on, and I want you very proudly to sign and bite one of our styrofoam cups, if you would, okay, for Camp Midnight, all right? There you go, Dr. Timothy Leary. And you know, folks, having our first interview ever span the commercials and continue into a farther part of the show really gets my hunger pangs a screaming out. And the food's here from Coyotes. You want to join me over here at the table?
Would you say that again? Your hunger pangs are screaming
out.
Oh, that's poetry. How about a round of applause?
Okay. Yeah, go put a little bite in there. There you go. Come on over this way. Let's go over here and see what we got over here. The food is in. Yes. Look at this stuff over here. Come on around here. Let's see. We've got... look at all this California food we've got here. I'm not sure what all this is. You probably eat this quite regularly. I come from Kansas City, Missouri, you know.
It's not steak. It's not Kansas City steak.
Well, I tell you what, let's do. Let's invite, we've got a guy here who knows all about it. I understand he was a cook for you also one time. Ed Ledoux from Coyote. Come on out here. Yeah. How you doing?
Good to be here.
Well, thank you. It looks great. Well, what do we got here? Let's see.
Well, we'll start over here. We've got our famous roast garlic shallot and onion pizza, the barbecue chicken pizza, which everybody in the town's doing, a pizza carnita, which is our version of a contemporary Spanish favorite, pasta pesto. This is our Wild Mountain salad with the fresh Laurel Canyon flower blossoms.
That is pretty, yeah.
Thank you. And we have our pasta with duck, sun-dried tomatoes and spinach, and Coyote's own chopped salad with some local herbs, little basil.
Sounds great. What did the doctor like to eat when you were cooking for him?
Well, I cooked up at Tim's house a few times. I think the best dinner I cooked up at your house was the grilled trout wrapped in the grape leaves. We had a great time.
Those grape leaves, yeah, I'll bet. Okay.
Well, we still run the same dish up at Coyote as a special.
Well, all right, Ed, thanks for coming on for us, okay?
Well, thank you very much. I hope everyone enjoys.
Well, I'm sure they will. Folks, if you'd like to come on up, Dr. Leary, stand up here, chat with the folks if you'd like, okay? Yeah, kind of help them out. I'm going to move over here for just a moment, if I may, come over here, because this is, yeah, go on up, that's okay. I'm going to come over here, because this is the time we normally do the network stipulation video, because like the USA Network makes me do this, you see. Now, I have always thought it's kind of a questionable programming element, but of course the guys and the girls in the tall tower up in New York say do it, and so we do it. I'm just wondering if we can't, like, dress it up a little bit with our old 1957's training film that we found called, what's it called again? Our Friend the Talk Show. Let's see what it says about this, about videos.
Having successfully bribed your guests and audience into a good humor by providing them tasty treats which cost them nothing, you want to maintain the flow of fun and goodwill. Benny Badhost, however, makes the mistake of forcing his audience to suffer through a music video. Has he never heard of a remote control? Or perhaps he's unfamiliar with the tendency of fickle women who will walk out on their date in the midst of a romantic tune, leaving me alone, wretched, every time I hear the opening bars of that damn song from the TV, that schmaltzy crap that drove her into the arms of some flashy son of a...
Roy.
What? Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to burden you actors with my personal problems. It's just that a damn music video ruined my life, and under no circumstances should a talk show ever show a music video. Viewers inevitably get up and go to the toilet or check out... You there! Sit down! Sit down over there! I mean it! If any host ever shows a video, I want to know the reason why. I don't care if the network does have silly, money-grubbing regulations that require it. If the host were a real man, he'd stand up to the fascist bullies. That's what I'd do. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. Hey, put that down! You, get away from me there! Hey, hey!
That was a little rough, wasn't it? Yeah, what's your name?
Chris.
Chris, help me out here. And now here's our network stipulation video.
They make him do it.
Yeah. Our food from Coyote, they're on Laurel Canyon and also on Sunset. And hi, what's your name?
My name's Cindy.
Cindy, what do you think? How is it?
It's absolutely delicious.
What kind did you get?
I got the barbecue chicken pizza.
That's a religious experience, isn't it?
Yes.
Huh? And folks, for the first time ever tonight, something new here for our Camp Midnight audience. We are giving them actually water to drink with the pizza while they do it. All right, we'll be back in a minute on Camp Midnight. doesn't look like a fake smile, does it? Welcome back to Camp Midnight on the USA Network. The show's going pretty good. We're all having a pretty good time. The interviews are going quite nicely. But I want to do one thing real quick before we go any farther. I'd like to check our 1957 training film that we uncovered in the basement vault that is called Our Friend the Talk Show Host. I want to check it just to make sure on the interviews that I'm doing the interviews in the official sanctioned method. Could we go ahead and take a look at that real quick? Let's see it.
So, Mr. Talk Show Host, you've navigated the treacherous shoals of the food order, biting a cup, and the music video. Hey, keep that man away from me! So, we've arrived at host etiquette and interview protocol.
Sissy!
What is the best way to conduct an interview? Well, Benny Bad Host will show us what not to do. Benny accuses his guest of communist sympathies, derogates her taste in lewd jungle music, and asks her point-blank about her trip to the Bahamas with her, quote, secretary, unquote. Not only does this make for uncomfortable social intercourse, it can also lead to costly and inconvenient medical treatment. Now, let's take a tip from Gus Goodhost. Gus thoroughly researches his guest's background so he can ask her pertinent questions. Then he shamelessly flatters her, complimenting her on her 30-second appearance in a Francis the Talking Mule film, and implying that he can introduce her to the guy who plays Dopey Gillis. The interview is a resounding success, and the guest eagerly agrees to a follow-up business dinner after the show is over.
Okay, all right, yeah. I think I understand now. I feel pretty good about that. You know, my next guest, thinking back here for just a moment, when I was 15, the only concern I had was wondering if my arms were long enough to reach puberty. However, as far as our next Camp Midnight bench warmer, it was a whole different story, because at 15 he was already a successful journalist. He gave us things in the coming years like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and he has also written and directed a new film called Say Anything. Please say hello to writer-director Cameron Crowe.
Hello.
Cameron, you just set the record for the fastest movement from there to here. That was great.
All right.
Yeah. How you doing?
Great.
15 years old, you started your journalistic career. I mean, how do you do this? How do you get into these type of things?
Boy, I was lucky enough to meet one of the editors of Rolling Stone, and I was writing for my high school paper, and to me, it seemed like the greatest thing in the world to ask Ritchie Blackmore how he got the sound on the solo of Woman from Tokyo, you know? And so they let me do it. So
who are some of the other people you interviewed back in the early days for Rolling Stone, and the different Cream and everything else that you wrote for?
Yeah. David Bowie and Pete Townsend, The Who, and spent a lot of time on the road with Led Zeppelin and lived to tell the tale.
Ooh.
But, and it's all true. But, yeah, so a lot of the time I'd go out on the road with the groups for a couple of weeks. And
what was that like? I mean, you were like the young journalist. Were you like involved in the parties and those kind of things?
Well, no, because I would have to make deadline and transcribe tapes and everything. So, you know, I'd hear them banging on the walls in the hallway and the motorcycles running up and down in the hallway. And
what was that movie where John Travolta was a writer for the Rolling Stone? Does anybody remember the name of that? And I don't remember. I'm just wondering if that was written about you, maybe. Perfect? Yeah, see, it was a great movie. Yeah, nobody can quite remember. Well, speaking of great movies, you got a new one. What's the story?
Well, it's called Say Anything, and it's a story of a wonderful and sensitive relationship between a great father and a great daughter, and then one day Lloyd Dobler comes to the door.
Ooh.
And he's played by John Cusack, and he wreaks sufficient amount of havoc.
Well, we've got a clip. Does that set it up nicely? Shall we take a look?
Yes, great.
All right, let's see what's going on. Now, you wrote and directed, right? Mm-hmm. Was this your first directing experience?
It was. The first time I've done that, yeah.
So first time directing. What was that like for you?
It was actually great because, you know, you get to step out of your room where you're just a guy that sits at a keyboard and creates your own universe, and then you're out there with all these people that say, I can't say that, and how about if I say this? And you kind of have to stand there and wing it, and it was a great experience.
When does Say Anything, when does it open up? Is it
April 14th, so it would have started
today.
Yesterday.
Yeah, well, today. Yeah,
today.
Is it 14th still? Yeah, it is. Yeah,
great.
Yeah, because we were talking about income tax.
All right,
Good. All right. So the checks will start rolling in, I guess. Let's go back to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Remind, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Man, that movie introduced a lot of future stars. Who was in that?
It's true. Sean Penn played Jeff Spicoli, and Judge Reinhold played Brad. Phoebe Cates, Linda, and Nick Cage was in it, and Anthony Edwards, and a lot of other people, and of course Ray Walston as Mr. Hand. But he was our star at the time. But that was a great experience, you know.
Tell me, how did you do that? You went back to school, didn't you? What
yeah, I was. I graduated early. My mother's a teacher, and she had, you know, sent me to summer school and so forth. So I graduated when I was 15. So I never really had a high school experience, and or at least a senior experience. And then I got the offer to write a book, and it kind of steamrolled into that. And I left Rolling Stone for a while and did the book. And the movie came about a year and a half later, and you know, we were all very lucky that they were interested in making a movie that was about young people, and you know, they were willing to bank on some new faces that ended up doing
You
well.
were undercover in the school, and only the principal knew about it?
Indeed, and a few teachers.
Did it ever come close that you were discovered in any way?
No, I told one guy who is the ticket scalper in the movie what I was doing, and he protected me and gave me a cut rate on some tickets.
How old were you? How old were you when you went back then? And to
21. So
21.
it was 10 years ago.
Ooh. Was it any easier going back to school as a 21-year-old? Did you have a better time with the chicks then?
I did, a little better. A little better time, I have to say, because I was young the first time out. But you know, when we were doing this movie, there's a grad night party, and I really felt like, boy, I've got to go back and I've got to see what a grad night is like now. And so I went back, and for about the first 20 minutes, I thought, I'm doing great, and no one thinks that I'm too old for this. And at that point, I was accosted by two guys that said, dude, you did not graduate this year. What are you doing here? And I realized it was time to move on. But anyway.
Well, Cameron, that's it. Now, are you married or single?
I'm married.
All right, now you're filing joint taxes with who?
Well, with my wife, Nancy.
And she does a little extra work too, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Do you mind telling us about it?
No, no. She's,
Nancy Wilson from Hart.
Right.
Yeah. All right. You know, Cameron, this will work with anybody. I found anytime you can have your wife applauded on national TV, it's better for you.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Cameron Crowe, please sign a cup for us and put your dental impression in.
My pleasure.
Would you? There you go. Cameron Crowe on Camp Midnight. Carl Sauter. Midnight, right here on the Comfortable USA Network. It's good to be on a network that's named after your country. Picture this, if you will, a civil servant who ends up writing TV scripts for moonlighting, and people want to give him awards for it. Sounds like a dream, huh? Well, I'll tell you what, this book is going to tell you how to do it. And our next guest, I want you to welcome him for us. He's the man who wrote it and is living the dream. Please welcome Carl Sauter. How you doing? Have a seat, grab a microphone, and let's get down to business now, because there are over millions and millions of people who want to write a screenplay.
It's the new cliche. Everyone's writing a screenplay.
How to say? Well, first off, let me ask you one quick question. Why did you quit moonlighting, writing for that?
Writing television as a staff member is really tough.
Yeah.
In fact, I was there 2 weeks, and I walked into the executive producer of the show, Glenn Caron, and said, I left government because of this. All I do is go to meetings. You know, I deal with politics in the office. There's a lot of trouble on the set. I left, you know, city government to be a writer, and the one thing I don't ever get to do on the show is write. So from the beginning, it was a tough experience for me.
Well, you were nominated, what, for an episode called The Dream Sequence Always Rings Twice.
Better known as the black and white episode. It was on during the first season.
Sure, great,
Thank you.
And then It's a Wonderful Job. It's a Wonderful Job.
That was a
another
Christmas episode the following year. And
Moonlighting's moved to Sunday nights now. I don't want to take a long time with it, but can this show be saved, do you think, or is it down the tubes?
It's a very interesting question. It's very tough to keep a show alive for a couple of years. I think most people have probably noticed the second or third year of every series, they begin to have problems. It's real tough to keep it going. They're certainly trying hard, and Moonlighting certainly has the potential. We'll just have to see what choices they made this year.
Well, Carl, How to Sell Your Screenplay, The Real Rules of Film and Television. Aren't you afraid by writing this book that you're going to increase the competition for yourself? What does this book tell us?
One, I'm not afraid about increasing the competition. I think it's the best thing that could happen in this industry. Believe it or not, as hard as it is to break into screenwriting, the industry is desperately looking for people who can do it well. I think one of the reasons I was able to make such a strange transition from government into screenwriting is that I worked real hard to learn how to do it better than other people did. And during the time, it was so frustrating breaking in. I always vowed that if I got a chance, I got in the door, that I would try and write some of the process down, hopefully so that when other people got into the industry, they wouldn't be so bitter about how hard it was. It's amazing when you start working in this business to find out that most of the people who do it aren't happy. And I think it's because you have so many illusions coming in, it's very hard to enjoy it once you're in the door.
Well, let's work together here for just a moment with a bunch of potential, maybe screenwriters in our audience. What we've done, folks, is we've had people fill out cards of plot ideas to mention to Carl, and then Carl will critique them and see if he thinks it could possibly be. Could we just line up at our microphone here, folks, and stand up and tell us your name, please?
Great.
Hi there. Come on up there. Don't be shy. What's your name?
My name's Chris.
All right, Chris, talk to Carl.
Let me just set the stage for this so you'll understand where this is in the process. Interestingly, what we're going to do here is real. This is exactly how television episodes and movies are sold. You don't sell most of your products by writing them first. You sell them by talking about them. It's called in the industry pitching, and it is one of the hardest things to do. It's like doing the Reader's Digest version of your movie idea. Now, normally we would not just pick 4 writers out of an audience to come in and pitch motion picture ideas. What normally would have happened, so you'll understand the process, is we would have read a sample of their work, would have liked it, and very likely would not have bought it, but we know they can write. When I was talking about everybody's looking for good writers, these are all people we'll assume who we really like how they write. Now we want to hear what other kind of ideas they have.
Okay. What's your idea?
Well, my idea is to make a television series or a movie based on the Calvin and Hobbes characters, the comic strip of Calvin and Hobbes.
Any thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I imagine that's probably in process. I mean, the problem for a writer coming in and pitching something they don't own is there's no way that you would ever be given a chance to write it. But what's interesting, and one of the reasons that we pulled that one out, is it is a different kind of show. And I think what everybody is most looking for in film and television now are things that are different than what's on the air. You can't be fooled by how bad and unoriginal things seem to be. The way to get into this industry and the way to sell an idea is to have one that's more original than others.
Carl, do you have to worry about coming in and telling your ideas to somebody and then they farming them out to their writers and taking your idea?
There's a lot of, I mean, I think this is also a good exercise because there's a lot of myth about that. I mean, everybody thinks their ideas are being stolen all the time, and you read about lawsuits constantly. One of the big shocks to me on Moonlighting was that every writer comes in with the same ideas. We finally had a list of 10 ideas to not pitch to Moonlighting because we'd heard them all. And the next 10 would come in.
Let's get to another person here real quick. Okay,
Hi, I'm Tim. I was thinking we should have an animal talk show. Like, you know, have Mr. Ed as a host and have celebrity guest animals. You know?
One of the things that's interesting about this process is that you can tell from people's reactions which ideas are good and which aren't. Most writers make the mistake of never talking about their ideas until they've written the script. Interestingly, that idea is a terrific idea for variety. It probably isn't big enough to do a whole series about, but I could certainly see David Letterman or Saturday Night Live doing a very funny sketch about that. And also very timely, because it would be commenting on the sort of, you know, trash TV of Geraldo and so on.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, the rest of the people we'll have you talk to during the commercial here, because I know they've got some great ideas, but it's How to Sell Your Screenplay, Carl Sauter. Would you mind signing and biting a cup for us?
Well, I'll bite the book if you want.
Please. Oh, good. Okay, great. There you go. Thank you. Good luck to you. Carl Sauter.
Thank you.
Yeah. Coming up, it's time. Cindy Lee Berryhill coming up on Midnite. backstage taking a short break, but before we do that, I wanted to go ahead and introduce for you, if you would please welcome, and she's singing her new single, Indirectly Yours, from the motion, not the motion picture, this is a big sign on the motion picture, from the album Naked Movie Star. Please welcome Cindy Lee Berryhill. All right, come on over here. Hey. Cindy Lee Berryhill. Folks, we started the show looking at the shoes of Cynthia Rhodes. Could we see your shoes, too? Hold those up there. Look at those. Huh?
Gotta check it out.
Oh, yeah. We'll keep you on this planet. How you doing?
Oh, doing pretty good, except with these shoes, I fell down the other day on the subway stairs going from Brooklyn to Manhattan. So, I mean, I really like them and everything, but, man, you know, I don't know. I fell on my head. Wow,
Bad
whatever.
luck shoes,
yeah.
huh?
I don't know. They look cool, and that's what counts, right?
That's the only thing. That's my motto. If it's not cool, forget it. Don't wear it.
I can tell. I
See,
can
look at
tell
this.
that about you.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell.
The new single that you just did comes out April 25th, about 11 days or so from
Right.
now. And the album Naked Movie Star. You're from what area of the country? Where do you live?
Well, I live now in Brooklyn, but I'm from Southern California. I was born in L.A., you know, old Tinseltown, and I grew up in San Diego, so beach communities, etc.
The whole surfer thing, the whole deal. Huh?
Land of Shamu, you know.
Yeah. You know, the guys here at the segment producers were awfully excited to find out who your cousin was.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
I know, boys like that, you know.
Guys like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
Who?
So tell them who.
Someone say who?
Yeah.
Damon Berryhill, he's in the Chicago Cubs. He's the catcher.
Catcher for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Well, who produced this album of yours?
Really cool guy. He's a rock god. He was in the Patti Smith group,
Yeah.
and his name is Lenny Kaye. Cool dude and everything.
Yeah. Okay. And that album cover that I held up a while ago, we've already taken it, you know, someplace. But
Yeah, taking it away, right?
Yeah. Who designed
Glad
that? And
well, this guy, well, blah blah, Chrysalis Records, blah blah blah. But anyways, this guy in Manhattan, and this little girl actually came up with the picture, the original picture on the album, and she had just taken a snapshot of her Barbie doll.
Yeah. And the same guy who did this also did what famous album from the past? I think you told.
I think he did like some Led Zeppelin album with.
Didn't he do Some
You remember
Girls?
the one? Well, he did the one with the cutouts on it. Remember that famous Led Zeppelin
Some
album?
Girls, Rolling Stone.
Oh yeah, he did
sure.
that. Oh,
Okay, great.
Thanks for schooling me.
Good
Just for
luck
that.
to you, Cindy. All right.
All
Would
right.
you sign and bite a cup for us?
Okay.
Huh? All right, let's do it. Let's do it. There you go. Put your autograph on there, put your dental mark on it, and we'll put it on the wall. Cindy Lee Berryhill on Camp Midnite. Back home. Welcome back to Camp Midnite, folks. It's been a great show. We've had some wonderful, fun guests on, and thank heavens that we found that 1957 training film called Our Friend the Talk Show to kind of help us through this thing. Matter of fact, I'd like to call on that training film one more time to kind of show me about wrapping the show up. Could we see something on that?
So now you've learned how to host a talk show, and there's no better feeling than being renewed by the network.
Another 20 weeks? Say, that's swell. And a raise? Oh, you're much too kind, Mr. Network Executive. Talk to you later. So long.
But what happens when Benny Badhost gets that call?
Hello? What, cancel? What are you talking about? Why? Not enough videos? We'll show more. We'll show more. No, wait a minute. Wait. Don't hang up. Hello? Hello?
Ooh, oh, gosh, we're expecting a call like that real soon, too. I'm not sure which way it'll go. Anyway, I'd like to thank our great show guests tonight, Cynthia Rhodes, Forkish and Ward, Dr. Timothy Leary was with us, Cameron Crowe, thanks, Cameron, Carl Sauter, Cindy Lee Berryhill, you were great. Send us anything there at the address you see. Next week, listen to this, Lyle Alzado will be with us, Rebecca Arthur, Rick Overton. It's going to be a great show, really great show. Hello? Yes, we'll accept a collect call from New York.